Everyone, if you're not scared already, maybe you will be by the end of this episode. Delighted to be having a second horror and science fiction centered chat with author and creator Aaron Wroblewski. Aaron, thank you for joining and talking with me for a few minutes.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show again. It's been great.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here anytime. I know the last time we talked, we explored the world of Enenra and we talked about some of the differences between writing in prose and writing in comics and some of those elements. So what's new? What's happening in your creative world at present?
A lot, actually. I've been very busy. Since Enenra 6, I'm actually got Enenra 7 currently live. Before that, I had Amor Patris, which is a supernatural horror.
Hmm.
That was successful. Before that, I had Ice and Bone, which is my samurai action horror. So that's currently being lettered, the pages, so they look really cool. And then hopefully the plan is to finish that series in August. So 3 and 4 of Ice and Bone will be launched together, which will complete the series. So that's the big one, August. But yeah,
Nice. You
busy,
keep
busy.
yourself active. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's I probably said this last time, but such a great combination of story elements there, samurai action horror. And I know we talked about the genre a little bit the last time, but it's just such a malleable form, the horror genre. It's so interesting to combine it with different elements and different pieces of genre.
Yeah, I mean, it could be horror, it could be a thriller, it could kind of double, kind of stream, kind of be on the line of both.
Mhm.
And there's so many different genres. It could be fantasy, it could be science fiction, it could be romance, with horror elements. There's so many different things you can put into it. Um, so yeah, I do tend to dabble a lot in the horror. Um, I've my next project, once these are all kind of ironed out, is a science fiction, which is like heavily Aliens Event Horizon kind of vibe I'm going for. So I've got the first 8 pages done. Um, it's just kind of finding the right time to launch it because I am just knackered.
Yeah. Now you've written science fiction prose previously as well, I believe. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've written one complete. It just needs editing. I've kind of written the outline of another. Um, so yeah, I dabble in prose and comics, mainly focusing on comics at the moment. Purely because it takes so long to write, novels. It's very time consuming.
Yeah. Any tricks for managing that time and keeping the focus? Because I know a lot of writers will start a project, get really excited about it, not finish it, go to something else. Anything that helps you tether through that way.
If it's a brand new idea, I tend to not write it for at least a couple of weeks just to see if it kind of stays with me. If it does, then I'll like write a page and a half, maybe 2 page treatment, like just a very brief outline, maybe a couple of scenes I kind of really like the idea of. And then if that, still is with me after a couple more weeks, I'll start maybe ironing out an actual full outline, maybe go into kind of outlines of issues itself if it's a comic. And then after that, I'll deep dive into each individual issue. So that's what I've done that's pretty much my kind of go-to for all my books and comic series is to kind of lay out the outline first, which is a lot easier to move kind of scenes and you know certain elements of the storyline to see if it gels because you have the page limit usually. uh People don't really want a 600 issue storyline. They want it kind of like 4 kind of 8 kind of self-contained. So that's kind of what I do, and then I just kind of write it out, and hopefully it it does well. fingers crossed this one does well too.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, how do you go about the idea of uh, kind of generating those ideas and crafting the worlds around them as you go?
Um, the world I love. I love crafting the worlds and the characters themselves. Because I generally, if it's like a fantasy or something where it's like places, I'll actually make a map, so I'm not
Mhm.
lost of like he was going here. Wait a minute, it's over there. So I kind of so I don't get lost. Um, but generally, creating the world is really cool because you get to create your own lore. You create your own rules. If there's magic, you can pretty much create what you want in that respect. Generally, I try and keep it grounded. I do like have um a manga which I've written the first 10 episodes of, which is, someone's brought to another world, but instead of the young, 19-year-old or whatever, he's actually in his 50s and he's got a kid. And unfortunately, as he's brought to this other world, his kid like jumps onto him and tr is taken away from him. She
Mhm.
like vanishes, and he's asked to save this world, and he goes, "No, you've just taken my the one thing I love is my daughter, and you've taken her away from me. I'm not helping you." And he just like walks away. So is that's the kind of premise that he's more seasoned. He's a special forces soldier. So it's the world building I love in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you have a character like that, when you have a character that you've fleshed out and developed, how do you then go about the process of bringing those elements of horror and fear? Basically, how do you create someone to care about and then let terrible things happen to them or almost happen to them?
Maybe I'm just sadistic. I don't know. Um, I think it's trying to find a way to make it so the reader doesn't know if he's gonna survive.
Mhm.
If you put him in certain elements, not all my characters make it out. Um, so it's creating that, oh, what's gonna happen next? Kind of, especially when they get to the page flip, and I try and incorporate that into a lot of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the flow of the storyline. But yeah, it's definitely I find the actual characters write themselves, strangely enough. The
Mhm.
first like Blood and Fire, the first three epi issues, it wrote itself. I kind of just went along for the ride. It's um the Ice and Bone, the sequel series, took a bit more effort because there's a bit more research I had to do for certain elements, especially the supernatural stuff. I tried to, like I said, I tried to keep it grounded, but there is supernatural, so it's not always kind of like, realistic. But I mean, Ezekiel, the artist, is doing a fantastic job. The when he sent me because he does all the whole book in one go and just sends it to me. So I get the wow factor like the readers, and I'm like, yes,
That's got to be a fulfilling moment as a creator to get to see the story laid out that way. And it's also got to be fulfilling to see it continue from issue one to issue two and beyond. You said Enenra is currently
yeah,
issue seven.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I tried to keep each uh like story arc, kind of complete in itself. And I send, Ezekiel the script. He very rarely asks much anymore. We kind of have a very synced relationship. Like I said, the issue one of Ice and Bone, he sent back, and I changed one panel in the entire book. He sent issue two, didn't change a damn thing. It was spot on all the way through. And hopefully, I think he did this very similar to with Enenra 6. I think that's when he started doing full uh, books and full issues and then sending it to me because it's quicker. He doesn't have to send do three or four and then send it to me, wait for feedback. He can just do the whole thing, and it's more I think in sync. So it's the whole does the whole book, and then he sends it to me, and I get the well factor, which I love. Um, and I do my best not to poke him. It's like, any updates, any updates, any updates? Because I do like, even if it goes a couple of weeks, over the Kickstarter shipment, and I prefer the quality. Um, so I do keep the backers updated. Um, so yeah, he's. I can't wait to show people some of the pages really do kick ass. So yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it. Looking forward to the 3 and 4 as well. So there's some awesome scenes in that one, which I'm looking forward to him
yeah.
tackling, and I can see it in front of me.
You get to imagine it and then pass it on to someone, and it sounds like you've worked out the creative process enough that very little to no changes at all.
Pretty much, yeah. I've been very lucky with the artists I've found. I've heard some horror stories of like ghosting and not getting, material and having to start from scratch. It's like a nightmare. Um,
Mhm.
I tend to pick artists who've done like variant covers for me, so I know they're trustworthy. Like I did Hernan Gonzalez, who's doing Amor Patrice, as you can see in the background here.
Mhm.
He did a couple of variant covers for me for Blood and Fire and Ice and Bone. We had a great, you know, relationship working with on them. I gave him the script for the supernatural horror, and he does amazing things with shadows, black and white. It's very full on horror, um, and he does amazing. So, and the science fiction, I had Caleb Addy do some variant covers, and he's very much on board with this supernatural science fiction horror, Pillars of Creation. I can't wait to launch it. It's just finding the time to to do it.
Yeah. Is there a particular kind of like horror link that you'd like to make that you haven't yet?
No, I think I've covered the basics really. That's all
Oh,
I have,
nice.
all I've planned. Yeah, it's just I've got the pages, I've got the covers. I'm waiting on one variant cover for Pillars. It is literally getting the pages lettered so I can fix up the Kickstarter page, and it's just finding the time to launch it that I am not exhausted from either my full-time job or
Mm.
kickstarting. It's not easy. It's stressful as hell.
Yeah.
My
Uh,
hats off to studio, who do this full time, like Kickstarter after Kickstarter. I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
Yeah, there are lots of steps to that process, and I don't know how many folks within the comics readership know about Kickstarter very closely, but you're talking packaging, packing materials, printing, all of those kind of things. So
Yeah,
it's its own task.
yeah. I mean, as you can probably see by I've actually tidied it up slightly. Da, da, da,
Oh
da,
yeah.
da, da. Yeah, I went
Mm-hmm.
through it because
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing Nashville Con in a couple of weeks. So my first Comic Con. Looking forward to it. And then
Nice. Very
so
nice.
I've got various juggling balls in the air, trying to get that organized. But yeah, trying doing this like day in, day out, going to cons every like other week or month is, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they have a lot more energy than I do. That's for damn sure.
Well, anything that you found that's creatively refreshing, anything that sort of gets that spark back in between the travels, the promotions, and all of those pieces.
I really like those little comments from readers, like, "Oh, I found your book," or "I found your book in a store and I really like it," and "Are you have anything else coming out?" And like I say, well, actually, there's this Ice and Bone is the sequel series. Keep an eye out for it because they found it through Blood. Blood and Fire is actually in stores through Red Five Comics. So them. My son actually found a YouTuber doing a review on the series. I'm like, oh my God, someone's doing a review on my comic and they like it.
Yeah,
So that's really cool. I'll never get over that.
but linking out and getting to hear from the audience,
Yeah,
that's got to be rewarding
that
in its own right too.
yeah, that definitely keeps me going. Especially if there's because I have like a quite a handful of regular backers on Kickstarter who come and follow whatever I'm doing. They kind of either back digitally if they're like overseas, like in Australia or something, or if they're local, they'll get the printed version because I print slightly bigger than normal um comic size. I do 8 by 10.5, so magazine size. So they're slightly bigger, just something extra for the backers. But everyone's I've had those comments that kind of come up on the campaign saying kick ass and keep going. So it kind of gives me that little lift when it's getting hard. But yeah, definitely the feedback from the readers is amazing.
The stories are connecting. The stories connect.
Hopefully.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, there's something else. Oh yeah. Um, so if I'm a listener out there and I'm not familiar with the world of Enenra, anything that you would like to say about the ingredients that you've brought together?
Sure. Enenra is a apocalyptic horror, both pre and post, because each issue, the start is a glimpse in the future. So the first 6 to 8 pages follows Survivor and his trusted companion Sam as they, travel the through London in a very changed world where there's mutated monsters. But the main story of the each issue follows Richard Marin and his team of doctors as they struggle to understand and stop a deadly virus. It's kind of Last of Us meets Outbreak, um, that kind of vibe I'm going for. There are no zombies, unfortunately. They were not hurt in this production. Uh, but yeah, it's very much apocalyptic horror, if you like that kind of genre.
Yeah.
And issue
Uh,
one is free to download on the campaign page.
Very nice. So people can check out
Yep,
some of your work with no commitment there,
yep, yeah. It's
and
all
then
free to
dig in.
download. There should be just a quick. There's like an image. You can just click on it and it automatically downloads.
Very nice. Well, I'll be sure and link that for listeners so they can check it out and hopefully continue enjoying the series beyond the first issue. Uh, any influences, anything book, film, comic wise that you go to sort of cast yourself back into the dark spaces of writing?
I do watch. Excuse me. Aliens
Yep.
is my go-to. I love that film. Uh, Kind of liked the new one, apart from the last kind of quarter. It was a bit of a it's okay, but a bit of a me. But the
Yeah.
overall loved it, and kind of really looking forward to where the franchise is going. Especially Predator as well. That
Hmm.
Prey kicked ass. The new one looks equally cool. Um, and the secret project they announced as well. The kind of anthology animated Predator film. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I do kind of go towards horror. So if there's any kind of horror on like Amazon or Netflix, I kind of dabble into. Uh, House on Haunted Hill, the series on Netflix. Love that. I've watched that a couple of times. Still get jump scares even though I know it's coming.
Lots of great influences there. Before we hit record, I was actually watching Alien versus Predator, which is not your typical. Yeah, it's not.
Which one?
The comic series though was
Oh,
good.
oh, the comic series is awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of all they have to do, really, is
yeah.
follow the comics. I mean, having the initial one where the Japanese lady survives, and then she like joins the Predators and becomes a predator herself, then
Hmm.
discovers that they actually are, kind of wiping out human colonies, and so she kind of and then she branches with the Aliens series a bit. Um, was it Wix? Can't remember, is that his name? Some aliens character with it's literally Hicks and Newt, but in a different name. And
Oh
they
yeah,
and
yeah,
they kind of come in and they kind of team up, and I mean it was really cool. So I kind of hope
yeah.
they do that with this, but I hope they do it more kind of organically if it fits the storyline rather than just like jam it all together and down our throats.
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll see.
Agreed.
Yeah, hopefully they keep it separate for the time being. It doesn't. They don't need to have a like a joint project, and it's just fresh. It's nice at the moment. Just keep it as is.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. And executing that storytelling, especially when you're bringing worlds together like that, is that's a delicate art, and especially when there's something already created that people compare it to naturally.
Yeah, always. I mean, every time they have a female character, they always, you know, how closely say how is it compared to Ripley? It's like it's very, it's very kind of I don't know wrong. I think now to kind of keep going back to Ripley. She's was an amazing character. Her last two films were yeah, but
Hmm.
Alien and Aliens were amazing. No, no hold bar. They're the best films. And to compare someone like 30 years later to that character is it's just kind of unfair. Because I think we've kind of overhyped what she represented. She was a great character. She kicked ass. And then to say that someone else has to do her or better is kind of unfair.
Characters be themselves.
Yeah, I just let them tell their own story. They don't have to be
Uh,
someone else.
if I'm a listener out there, I know I can go to Kickstarter. I'll provide that link. You also have a website, anything about that, or social media that you'd like to mention?
Uh, the Kickstarter, you can also find it through dabskicomic.com. You can on social media, I'm really easy to find on Facebook. I have an Enenra Facebook group. I've got a more Patrice Facebook group and Blood and Fire, Ice and Bone. So if you just type those into searches, you will find the Facebook groups. I'm also on Instagram. It's Wroblewski Aaron. It's a bit of a long. I'll send you the link, so it'd be easier for people to click on it. But yeah, I'm usually kind of dabble between those two.
Nice. And Nashville Comic Con is on the way.
Yes, yes. So if any listener is going to Nashville Con, please come and see us.